Okay, so I just finished writing the longest YouTube description in my life, and it's all about playing by ear for piano. Basically, I've been thinking about this topic nonstop for the past few days. I think mainly just 2 days, and it's just like my brain's on fire. It's just like cannot stop thinking about this, and I just need to organize all my thoughts. And I figured, I didn't want to make any more videos about it, so that's why I wrote it all down into a YouTube description. But it ended up basically being a video script. So I feel like I should just make a video about it instead of just leaving it as a description. Okay, so before we start, I actually do want to at least demonstrate some level of competency regarding playing by ear because I feel like I don't want to be that guy who's just talking about something they have like no skill in. So let's actually ask ChatGPT real quick to show us or give us a random song, I guess. Let's see. Hi, can you give us a completely random song? Oh, I ended up using the transcribing tool. Let me try using the voice tool. Okay, there we go. Can you list or give us a random song?
Sure. How about Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen? It's a classic and
It,
always
it
a fun one.
needs to be something that's a bit more low key that like I don't already know.
Got it. How about Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer? It's got a laid back vibe and it's a bit more on the mellow side. So hopefully that fits what you're looking for.
Well, advanced voice mode got a little bit more like it sounds different. It sounds like more emotion. How interesting. John Mayer, Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. Why do I feel like this is going to be like a very popular song or something? This has 22 million views, but I haven't heard of this one specifically. Let's see.
Trying secret menu
Ay,
items.
ay, ay. Hold on. We need to wait for this ad to finish. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely heard this before. Let's try one more. Okay, give me like a super low key song or at least something recent that came out because I don't really listen to recent music that much.
Gotcha. You might enjoy The Other Side by SZA and Justin Timberlake. It's got a really smooth, chill vibe.
I kind of don't like the new voice mode for ChatGPT. Justin Timberlake. What did they say? The Other Side. Let's see. I'm taking forever. This is from 5 years ago. Sounds like a minor key, just based on that. It's do. Why am I using solfege? It's because I'm way too used to it. Let's just find it. Sounds kind of close to C. Nope, it's D. So I don't have perfect pitch, so I need to at least have one reference note. So I hit B, and my reference note basically helped me indicate that this is likely the key. And the notes that I heard were okay. I don't know if you could hear me playing. Actually, the mic is not really capturing it. It was. So that wasn't a great example, to be honest. Usually, I feel like I can usually pick things up a little bit faster than that. I'm not very good at minor keys. That's one thing I'm weak at right now. So if this were a major piece, I would be better at picking it up faster. That one took a lot of actual like brain power to like figure out, um, based on because I've been trying to ditch solfege, so I wasn't using any solfege in my head to figure out the notes. I was literally just playing it in my head and trying to figure out like how does it match the piano. Anyways, hopefully that was like a decent enough demonstration. I'm not gonna like redo it because what's the point of that? I feel like we can do another one, but let's just get to the video. You can look at my practice records actually in the description as well. I have like 100 days where I'm practicing, and in a lot of those, it basically proves that I at least have some level of the skill. And yeah, I'm a little. I didn't like how bad I was at demonstrating that, but yeah, let's just keep going. Okay, so thoughts I had afterwards. Your auditory memory of the song, melody, and harmony is probably a more ideal placeholder at first, but I think a visual placeholder can help too. It's sort of like words. So, to give this context, because this was meant to be read after the video, so I have this whole like visualizer system where I don't know if you can see it actually. I feel like I'm blocking it, but either way, let's move it a little bit. I think you can see it now. Yeah, right there. And then the visual system is basically a way to have a visual for the audio side of things, of like when you're playing by ear, like you know the scale, you know each degree of the scale. So what I was saying here in this video was that's what this thing is for. It's like a visual placeholder for you to use until you figure out what scale you're playing or what key you're in for the song. So this one was D minor. And then in order to apply this visualizer onto D minor, I would put the red square on F and then put the, I kind of wish I had the visualizer in front of me, but I would put the magenta circle on E, and then I put the purple triangle on D. So that's sort of how I would do it initially without the key. I would basically think about the shapes, and then after I figure out the melody with the shapes, then I just need to play a reference note, figure out the key, and then I know it because I have a placeholder for how the song is supposed to go. But my auditory, what I was saying here is you can use basically just your auditory memory of the song. So if you remember how the song is like the melody or the harmony of it, then it can also be a placeholder basically. So basically every song you know is a placeholder for playing by ear. As long as you know the song very well, then like you have the memory it takes to play by ear. You don't need an actual visual representation yet. But I think a visual placeholder is also very useful. And in this video, basically what I said was like people with perfect pitch, their visual placeholder is the piano itself. So like if you've associated like already this pitch right here, which is F, with the piano, then you know that that pitch is F and you can just play it on the piano. You can see it in your head as well. So you hear F, you also see it being played in the piano. So that's sort of like a perfect visual and auditory experience, like association, right? That's what I said in this video. And we can't do that because we don't have perfect pitch. I don't have perfect pitch. So the next best thing is relative pitch, and that's why a visual placeholder like this is even useful in the first place. Because if I don't have a piano in front of me, then I need a visual placeholder. I don't need one, I guess, as long as I have the auditory memory of it. But it's useful to have a visual placeholder that can help with like, okay, I can later place this visual placeholder onto the piano and know how to play it already. I guess watch this video to get more context. I don't want to repeat too much from that video. Let's just keep going. So in our minds, I make an analogy to words. So in our minds, somehow, like when we read things like these scribbles right here, they immediately produce like the sound of the actual words in our heads, which if you think about it is kind of crazy. We're trying to get to that point with our visualizer or with the piano keys or staff. So for instance, if you look at a staff, you can hear the pitch itself if you have a reference note. Same with the piano keys. You can look at this and you know how F sounds like because you have a reference note, and you've created that strong association. Like you can just hear it by looking at the key or the visualizer. So we're practicing to create that strong association, that sound, that the sound feels exactly like the same entity as the visual element, exactly how written words are, plus like hearing the words. Like basically, when you look at a word, written word, you basically, in your mind, it's the same thing as the sound, right? That's where we need to get to if we want to play by ear perfectly. So if we can create this instant connection between the scribbles and random sounds that come out of our mouths, we can most definitely do it with relative pitch and the keys of the piano or the visualizer of our choice. Which I actually really believe that. I really do believe that if we can somehow like make out all this random noise that we're producing out of our mouths and scribbles on digital, on my screen right here or on paper, and we somehow have like connected the two so strongly that it's instantaneous, I really, really believe we can do the same thing with pitches and the piano. So I wrote right here that we have different combinations. We have the combination, let's see if we can, oh yeah, nice. We have the combination of pitch plus piano keys, pitch plus color visualizer, which is my visualizer, and then pitch plus staff. So pitch plus staff is probably what people don't really care about that much. The whole reason people want to play by ear probably is to avoid learning how to read the staff, but for me, I feel like it could be useful since I know sight reading pretty well, so creating this association later could be helpful for sight reading, especially when it comes to like harder pieces that are hard to play by ear, like classical pieces, like a lot of pieces by Chopin, for instance, like his etudes. And then we have pitch plus color visualizer, and then pitch plus piano keys, like we mentioned. In this video, we mentioned how you have to basically visualize the scale that you're playing in, like the key that you're playing in for the piano. And then once you see that, that's sort of how you can do it with relative pitch. Again, watch the video if that doesn't make sense, but it's probably a good idea to create strong associations between visual elements as well. So in the end, we sort of think of everything as the same thing. So a specific pitch will be a specific piano key, will be a specific color or shape, will also be the same as the note on a staff. So if we can create this would be like the ultimate association. Like we'd be like master level at, basically the associations. I can't say much about technique and all that stuff because that's like a different field. But creating a strong association between the staff and piano keys is basically sight reading. So if you have a strong association between the staff and piano keys, you're good at sight reading. And then creating a strong association between the color visualizer and the piano keys is something I will explore, but it's not really like, it's basically like practicing your ability to see the keys as specific degrees in the scale. I know that's a little confusing if you don't really like fully understand what the point of the visualizer is, but the point of the visualizer is just to like see each degree very distinctly. And if you can somehow lay that onto like the D major scale, for instance, and see each as like the color and shape, then you have a really good, strong method of associating the piano keys, how they look like, and the shape of it, of the scale, with those degrees, and it just helps with a lot of things. So I was saying here, like, it's a good visual aid, basically. And an electric piano that can adapt the colors of the keys to the piano, to the keys of the piano, and change depending on like the key signature or the key that you're playing in, that would be really helpful for learning the distinctions between, or combining the visualizer that I came up with plus the visual element of the keys of the piano. So, and then a big extra note, all of it that I have been talking about for like the past few videos is way more useful after you strengthen degree recognition skills. So degree recognition skills is basically the first step of playing by ear, is how I see it. Like you have to do the functional ear training stuff to really, really know, like to really map out what each degree is, what they feel like and everything, to see them distinctly. So I made an analogy here, just like how a baby who can't even speak coherent words yet, they can't speak at all, and they can't distinguish the sounds of language yet. Like they're hearing gibberish. In their mind, it's all gibberish. Trying to teach them how to write and read, trying to teach that baby how to write and read, it's completely pointless. They need to be able to understand coherent words and the sounds of language first. So that's like learning how to distinguish between the scale degrees. You got to learn how to do that first before you even decide to add a visual element to things. So, and I guess that ties back to like sight reading plus piano. The reason why I feel like a lot of people really suck at playing by ear is because all their life they've only made a visual association between notes on a page and how the piano keyboard looks like, and then they just play piano based on visual elements with no sound elements involved. So how do you begin to recognize the different degrees of the scale? Fundamentally, that's the big question, right? So a baby doesn't take an already known language and use it as a reference point to understand English. They figure it out from scratch. They don't know any language yet. So how do they learn English? From scratch. So think of it this way. Pure pitch. And then this is a layout that you sort of have to visually see. So pure pitch is on the left, conversion technique is in between them, and then relative pitch degree or scale degree. And solfege is a conversion technique that uses what you already know from English or language, because it's not just English, it's any language, and then creates an extra association through analogy. It's basically an in-between step that isn't necessary and makes things more inefficient and even muddies the true meaning behind things. So I'm very, very passionate about this because I really, really hate solfege because of this. I hate the fact that I use solfege to learn like the relative pitch degrees. And a baby learns language with a conversion technique of fundamental pattern recognition. No analogies. Analogies are useful in understanding things because they take what you already understand and like, use those terms to help you understand something else. But that's something else that you're understanding. It's not the full meaning of things, and I'll explain that more here. So I fully understand the irony of me using analogies to help you understand this. I'm not trying to say analogies are bad by any means. I'm saying using an analogy as the conversion technique to learn relative pitch degrees is bad. So just want to make that clear. So no analogies for like fundamental pattern recognition, which is the way babies learn a new language. So it's a direct path from pure pitch to relative pitch degree, basically meaning to word, right? And then learning solfege to understand relative pitch is like being the guy who learns Japanese purely through a lens of English and misses, like if you do that, you're missing so much nuance behind certain Japanese phrases and certain Japanese words on their own without the English translation. It's like watching anime with English subtitles, which is the intermediary, or I guess the analogy in a way, and thinking that you somehow get the full meaning. You just don't. You never will. Like, that's not how language works. Like, you're going to miss so much nuance if you're watching anime only understanding the only reading the English subtitles and not knowing the actual Japanese that they're using. And that's kind of how I relate it to solfege. I think solfege is like that, like the subtitles basically of relative pitch of each scale degree. You're using subtitles to understand the scale degrees. You're not learning the actual language itself. So learning how to recognize each degree of the scale fundamentally instead of by analogy, instead of by subtitle and translation, is what we need to do. So the color visualizer I proposed doesn't get in the way of that because it simply offers a purely visual element that helps with strengthening the distinction between degrees. Just like how language has a written aspect and sound element. So I suppose if we were to try to relate that to like language, it's like as if, like, for instance, I mean, I didn't really think too much about how, so I'm trying to produce something completely new and not something I've thought about before. But if the color visualizer is like the language, is like the written version of the language, it's like you can use any sort of like language to understand a meaning, I guess. But the meaning itself is what we need to like fully grasp first, is kind of how I see it. Hopefully that made sense. And then let's keep going with this first. So you can improve your recognition skills fundamentally by singing scale patterns. So this is like the method now. So singing scale patterns definitely helps a lot because it's like you're moving between the different sounds, the different pitches, and you're sort of like feeling out how each of them feel and trying to figure out, compare and contrast. You're recognizing patterns like how a baby would. And the best way is probably to hum or whistle to avoid creating an association with any vowels or words, to basically avoid solfege. That's kind of how I'm actually distancing myself away from solfege, because like I automatically hear solfege now, which is annoying. And so doing listening exercises from apps like the Functional Ear Trainer that I mentioned in one of my previous videos, by ignoring the solfege, like the written words, and by really paying attention to how each of them feel. And I feel like the reason why this is so hard, like think about how hard it is for a baby to learn language, or for you to learn a new language. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of like struggle to really recognize patterns and not base things off of like what things we already know. Like we have to like form new thoughts, form new things in our brains for the associations. Our brain has to work really, really hard to pattern recognize and create new entities in our brain to work with. So this is going to take a long time. So don't expect to get this fast, basically. So over time, with practice, they'll become more and more distinct. And at the stage where you can begin to recognize them as different entities, that's when creating visual associations will become more helpful. So you learn the sounds of language, you learn how to speak and listen before you learn written language. That has been the pattern of humans for forever. So the same thing applies for music. But for some odd reason, for music, we teach it in a very completely different way. We teach it with visual first, and then visual. That's the majority of, I feel, piano teaching is like you see visual and you play visual, and then the sounds are produced afterwards, and you have no idea like how the sounds are produced. Like you have no like real distinction in your head about the sounds. They're just nice to hear. And then people who are very talented or who have perfect pitch, they have that sound association to begin with, and because they have that distinction in their head, they didn't need to create it. We need to create it. People with relative pitch, we need to create it first. So that's basically it. So at this point, I just say, now I have a full system that's clear in my head, that's very much broken down. And now we can practice for 95 days and see how this goes, because all of this, again, is just pure thinking, pure logic. That's it. None of this is like me referencing anyone else. None of this is like things I've learned from other people. All of this is pure logic. It's just me thinking about this a lot and feeling like this matches with how reality actually is and how we actually learn things as human beings. It's just pure pattern recognition. So this is like the most fundamentally broken down version of how to play by ear that I can think of. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know, like, I feel like this cannot be wrong, you know? I feel like this has to have some level of fundamental truth. But obviously it's missing a lot of the specific nuances of like, oh, what's the best method for actually distinctly forming the scale degrees as entities in your head? Like, that can be debated. Like, what is the best method? What are the best scale patterns to practice? How much should you practice for daily? How much should you do certain things? Blah blah blah. Like, there's so many different methods out there, basically, and I'm not trying to advocate for any of them. I mean, I'm trying to do the opposite, which is saying solfege is a bad way of doing it, and that's basically it. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to have like a very fundamental layout of how all of this is. And I think with I guess like the first principles of things, like we can build on top of that and sort of see the pitfalls before they come, and learn based off of the fundamentals of things instead of through analogies. I mean, understanding things through analogies is perfectly fine, but when it comes to learning a language or learning relative pitch, that's when you have to be careful. Again, I really want to make it clear. I don't want to say like analogies are a bad thing, because they're very useful for learning. And that's probably why people use solfege in the first place, because it's good. It's an analogy. It's using something you already know to help understand something that you don't know. But like, again, that subtitle, Japanese subtitle or English subtitles to understand like Japanese, you're not going to get the full meaning. You're not going to fully understand the pitches and feeling of the pitches if you're using solfege as an intermediary. You're just not. So that's my whole pitch. That's my whole new video or script for the whole video that I just wanted to express and finally be done with, because the previous videos, basically, I had like a rough idea of all of this. You know, I was trying to basically speak all of this into existence, but I didn't fully have it mapped out in my head as well as I did in this description, basically. So in this description is the full version of everything I've been trying to say the past week when it came to playing by ear for the piano. And I guess this is the result of trying to do it for I started last year. So I did it for about 100 days, 100 practice days over the time span of like maybe like 4 to 5 months. And then I went to Japan. I completely stopped. Actually, I tried to keep going, but I started deviating and I started just playing a lot of random things, like just getting to know each scale very well, each key very well, basically. So that's what I did. And then I started singing more. Like, I started a singing challenge that I didn't quite complete yet because I had to save my voice because I'm creating an audiobook. And then now that I'm done with the voiceover aspect for the audiobook, I can actually get back to singing. But singing is very, very helpful, by the way. Like, singing a song, like just learning to sing in general, it helps so much. So don't just play the piano, like actually learn to sing. It will help with your scale degree recognition for sure. And when you're singing lyrics and stuff, like you're not creating any associations, because it's not like solfege where it's like the same word over and over and over and over again for the same pitch. So it's different. So I advocate for singing. I think that's a great method. And then, yeah, anyways, so I'm trying to highlight my playing by ear journey. And then now recently, I came back from Japan a few months ago, and I've been like trying to play by ear again. Or after I stopped the singing challenge, I've been thinking like, we really want we really should get back to playing by ear or trying to practice it. So this is day 5 of me trying to get back into my practice, and I've just been like so like before all of this happened, I just felt so like unstable. I was just like, none of this feels right. Like I don't feel like this is the right method. I don't feel like everything I've been hearing from the courses that I took from playing by ear or using solfege and all that stuff and all the yeah, I just felt like something was wrong. Something was just terribly wrong inside of me. I know I'm being dramatic, but honestly, this is one of like my most desired skills in my entire life. Like I just really, really want this skill. Like piano is my passion. I love playing the piano, and I just hate the fact that I just play things and I don't have a strong connection with the sound, and I hate that. Like it makes me feel so bad inside, and I like I seriously want this. Like this is just something I know for sure I will do for the rest of my life. Like with vigor, with passion, is try to get this skill of playing by ear for the piano. Like I don't feel like I don't think I feel any desire stronger than this, basically. Um when it comes to like my goals, for instance. Which is why I've been like kicking myself in the ass in terms of like, why haven't I been practicing this more? But it's because I always have like so many things that I want to do, and I always like end up doing them and taking up a lot of time, blah, 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 whatever. But now I'm practicing, and I'm going for 100 days straight using new methods. And I finally feel like I'm happy with everything, with like my approach to all of this and how I understand everything. Like it took forever. It took basically a whole year of me struggling to find a method that felt right. And I feel like this is it. To find a framework too, like just a way to look at things, right? Because I feel like when you don't have that, when you feel like something's off, it just, I don't know, like while practicing during that 100 days, like somewhere in the middle around day 50, I just felt so off every time. Like I was just like, I hate this solfege stuff. I hate being so confused. I hate like not, there was just so much that I felt like was so wrong. So, I mean, be my guest if you want to use solfege after I said all of this. I'm actually kind of curious if some people like love solfege or whatever, but I really think that this is like what I wrote is true to some extent. And let me know in the comments actually if you think like I've gotten anything wrong. I don't mind being corrected. I want to get to the truth of things. Like I really want to understand fundamentally like how we can learn and build this skill. But I believe everything I wrote in this description is fundamentally true. So, okay, I think that's pretty much everything. I'm very, very passionate about this topic, and I'll make a lot of videos with this once I have more success. My demonstration in the beginning was very sad, honestly. Like I need a lot of work still, but I at least have some level of it right now where I can recognize scale degrees. So hopefully that gives me some level of credibility to say any of this. But hopefully in the future, my demonstration will be significantly better. But this is where I'm at. Actually, I'm going to date this for fun. I mean, I'm going to release this video soon after, but I like dating things to look back on. What day is it today?
It's Friday, July 18th, 2025.
Okay, so let me clear some notifications and then just show this right here. Actually, I don't know if you can see it very well, but whatever. Friday, July 18th, 2025. Let's see where I'm at after 100 days and then beyond that, because yeah, I expect, well, I'll highlight my journey. I'll highlight my journey. It's gonna be rocky. It's gonna be hard. This isn't gonna be easy. I expected this to take a very long time, like years, not months. So here I am a year later, ever since I started this playing by ear journey, and this is where I'm at. That's just my journey. Unfortunately, I still suck at it. Basically. Okay, let's improve. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.